All right, here we go. It's a little bit of a test recording, but also a test of a really goofy and different signal chain, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. So I won't lie, I've been kind of not liking. My mood is still playing past lives in there. Not liking the direct thing. Everything sounds good and such, but it's not the same as my amp setup. If you watched any of my earlier videos or whatnot, you'd see that I typically had what I called a wet setup. So the center amp had its own little host of effects, and then kind of the stereo effects were on the outer two amps. So I thought to myself, you know what, I have an Iridium and an IR200. I wonder if I can do a direct dry wet slash wet setup. So that's what this is. So I'm coming in to the Parrot EQ first. Now the reason I have the EQ first is because I had an automaton, and I really like the parametric EQ in it. And technically the way I had my signal chain up when it sounded really great, technically that parametric EQ is before my Klon style pedal. Now I know I got the Tim here, but this is the asymmetrical setting, so I figured let's see what it sounds like having the parametric EQ in front of the gain. So it's going from the parametric EQ into the Tim, into the compression, into the compression, down to the floor of my volume pedal, back up from the volume pedal into the sonic stomp. Then it's going down into the looper. I have been using the looper on the microcosm, but because it's in a separate quote-unquote amp setup now, it's post-delay, which means if I'm doing my rhythmic thing, when I play back the loop, it won't hit the delay. So I had to get a looper earlier in the chain. So I'm going from the loop into the mood, which is now in mono. Again, I've never been able to. This is actually the second Mood MK2 I've owned. I bought one when it first came out, but the way it's designed, I don't think it works as good later in chain. You got to have it early in chain to get or at least what I want out of it. Then into the Memory Man, and this is one of the things that people don't talk about, the Deluxe Memory Man, and I might be able to do it with the MXR Joshua too, is it has a direct out and an affected out. So what I'm doing with this is, at this point in the signal chain, I'm going out of the effect into the Iridium, into the mixer. So that's my quote-unquote center amp. And let's see here, can I turn this down? Yeah, we can do that. So I have gain on right now, but so that's just coming out of the Iridium. I think I'm using an AC style amp. I'm on the chime setting, I think. So that's kind of my core or my center amp tone. For this particular little jam, I got some highs rolled off, but in any case, so going from the Memory Man effect out, the delay stays in the center, but then I'm taking the direct out and I'm going into the IR200, which is a JC120 model. So I technically, and I had somebody ask about this, there is a very certain way I use this. With the stereo outs, you can, let me see if I can find the setting to show it. I don't know which setting it's under. I'm not the biggest fan of jumping into all these menus. Okay, if you look right here, see this adjust? What that does, if the two cabinets inside it aren't linked, is it adjusts just it's not quite a slapback delay. It's almost like a stereo pan function. And what happens there is you get a much wider stereo image. So that's one thing I do, and I've got direct signal mixed in with it, in addition to the synthetic mic sound, I guess. So I'm going out of the direct out into this, and then out of the effects loop in this, I'm going into the microcosm, out of that in stereo into the cloudburst, and then back into the stereo return of this, and then going into the stereo channel of the mixer here. And then I'll bring that up and play a little bit of that. So I've got the center channel, quote unquote, off. And as you can see, that's my big stereo spread. And as you can also hear, you're not going to pick up the Memory Man, but you still get the benefit of that Memory Man, whatever, that 24 volt headroom or the magic, whatever you want to call it. A nice overdriven preamp sound, whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, once you mix them together, make sure I'm not overloading. So, which so far, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody try this with, an ambient pedal board or any other pedal board, to be honest. But so far, just immediately, it sounds amazing to me. Now, I'm going out of this mixer into the Go Mixer Pro X only because I actually bought, so this is an iPhone 15, I actually bought quarter-inch to the USB-C connection, and RCA jacks to USB-C connection, but my phone or the the app I'm using don't detect it, so I still have to go out of the mixer into the Go Mixer Pro X, and then into my phone to get the stereo recording. Otherwise, it only picks up the telephone mic, which is kind of irritating, but because I got to take up all this real estate on my board. But in any case, I'm going to do a little jam here. I have a little ominous loop I made, just because the whole deal sounds amazing. This might be my setup going forward for a while. Obviously, who knows what kind of mood I'm in for different delays and modulations and things. But right now, this sounds great. Now, the only other issue I had is, and I'm going to find out right now with this recording, there's a lot of noise coming out of this thing. Right now, I'm not detecting it, but we'll see how it picks up in the recording. So there's my wet, direct pedal board setup. So far, it's pretty awesome. So enjoy. And of course, after all that, I lost my output somehow, so what the heck? Another random weirdness. Sorry about the gap there in the sound, but now, I don't know, that clone looper's getting old. Maybe I need to get a new looper. In any case, let's try that again. best jam I ever did, but still got to get a little dialed in. But I think overall this concept gets me one step closer where I want to be in my headphones rather than having to have all my amps set up. So enjoy. Hopefully you got some ideas from this. I think it could be the way I'm going to go going forward. So have a good one.